feel that we have done quite a lot in this industry. I hope whoever are not yet the members of association, we are trying to look forward, say that please come and join. And Dheeraj is going to help me for that. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so, thank you. We are very proud. Nautical Institute, we think agents are very important because ships don't move without agents. So, please, photo moment. Somebody taking pictures. Yes, better. So this is our third MOU. We have got an MOU signed with the Emirates Law Association. We got one with the Women in Maritime Vista Group, and this is our third MOU. That is, no, we got one with ICS as well. So fourth one as Nautical Institute. We're going to continue having association. This is nothing but saying that we'll be both sharing our partnership with having synergy with each other organization, perhaps training discounts, perhaps giving preferred rates on our events if we can, spreading the word of each other's events in each other's organization. It's just basically as much synergy as we can extend to each other in whichever way the current committee feels. And DSA has been very active, so it was only fitting. And thank you for coming on this landmark occasion of me taking over as chairman. It means a lot. I will remember this. Thank you. So yours, take up the word. I'll take one. The follow moment. Okay. Thank you, Rana. And you can celebrate Navratri.
Thank you.
Have the extra, what do you want sweet here? Auspicious occasion. This auspicious occasion. Thank you.
Thank you.
So that's that done. So now we will invite our committee members who are present, starting with one who's patiently waiting virtually, our treasurer elect, now officially our treasurer. Is Govind going to be here? The most important thing is that we have had a profitable year since. Thank you very much. Is Rajiv coming on? Otherwise, we call the most important purpose of us being here. Shamsheer and Vikram were both part of the welfare committee. So, if you come in and tell us what you've done in the past year. Welfare committee. See if I can.
So as you know, yeah, we've been looking. I'm representing the welfare committee here. I was part of the team where we used to communicate with two vessels which were, stranded here. Thanks to Captain Gajanan, who's also here. He also helped us a lot in those cases. And we tried. There was some conclusion eventually, a positive conclusion eventually. And yes, we tried to help. And we are always on a lookout for vessels which will be stranded, where people will be needing our help. Seafarers on board, or any seafarer who is in trouble. That is the motto here, that we try to help them out in the situations which they may, in case they need our help, we are always available. So in the last 1 year, we've done these two vessels. Of course, that was a typical case where the vessels were abandoned by the owners and the crew were left stranded, high and dry. We communicated with the agents to whatever possible we could and tried to arrange the logistics. But eventually, we had to get in touch with the DG Shipping in India and Captain Gajanan, who's there in India, who helped us out, and we could arrive to some conclusion there. It was a very fruitful year that we had. And yeah, exactly, I was about to come to that point. So if the case has repeated again, but unfortunately we will not be touching that again because obviously it is beyond our scope now. Having said that, at our level individually, I think we all are doing, like yesterday also I can probably say that I diverted one of my vessels. Quickly I came down because one seaman was sick and the managers were delaying his, repatriations, but at the same time, I said if he's sick and he wants to go home and he was desperate, and then luckily when he disembarked, I asked the doctor what was the report. It was something neurological disorder. So at times we have to take such decisions where seafarer, anybody, and it could be an day-to-day jobs, but you need to help them. So that is one part of my job here.
Vikram has got Shamsher in his team and got two others in the welfare.
Unfortunately, Captain Seva is on a job actually.
Yeah.
So he's not here. But Shamsher, just not.
But I think this is the most important group of committee members that we have, because it makes us feel very, very positive about it.
We have Captain.
There's Shamsher. Shamsher, your name came up. Thank you very much. He was in the events team, but he said his heart lies in where the seafarers are. So he's very kindly moved into the welfare committee. But said that, we got the man with the money bags in. We can see part of your left ear. That's Captain Rajiv Sehgal, who is our treasurer elect, and as of today, he will take over as the treasurer. Rajiv, what do you have to tell us at the committee about the money that we have? We love your eyebrow. So you'd rather see your face. Okay, good. Can't hear you.
Money without me. Money man is here, but again, I need more money, I need more commitment, I need more commitment from priority so we can give it back to the shipping industry here. We have money, but again, I want some people to come forward, not me going begging them or our people there. I want people voluntarily to come forward and help us. So we can build up some amount so we can substantially give it back to the industry. You guys been very graceful, very nice, helping in all the events coming forward, but I need some more commitment for everyone. So we can give it back as a Nautical Institute to everyone. But again, we have few events coming and we're going to start conversing for that. So we want you people to please come and help us to give it back to the industry. And Zareen and the rest of our committee members and all of senior people here like Rishi, Govind, and all other members who've been there and helping hand to get this thing rolling back into the system. So we are very thankful to them and we'll try our best to take it forward from here. And I hope you have a lovely evening. All the best, you guys. And look forward to seeing you in person when I'm back.
Thank you very much, Rajiv. But all the UAE committee or members of the UAE branch, if you want to know what the balance sheet looks like and what is the statement of accounts, our financials are all audited. We are VAT compliant, and also we registered for UAE tax as an organization, as a company to register in UAE. So with Rajiv, he's supported by his deputy Rohit Malhotra. There is the company compliance in charge, which is Govind Kukreja, and we are all delegated all this to these wise men who completely take this as a responsibility and get on with it. But thank you very much. Do you want to speak about the figures that are there in our coffers? Or do you keep that as a secret?
We are over about $200,000, 200,000 dirhams in our kitty at the moment, but we needed more. This is just a bit. We took over as what 200. We haven't done anything great, but we need to build up our kitty so we can help all the seafarers who need it.
Yeah, we bought a television for this place down below. As soon as you enter, if you look left, you'll see a big TV screen that's donated by the Nautical Institute to the Seafarers Mission here. We've also got plans to support two students from the Chartered Maritime Academy for 10,000 dirhams each as a token of a landmark achievement that they will have. Most likely, we will declare that during our Black Tie event in May, that which Chris will talk about. I don't want to see your thunder like Vikas did, but talking about you, Chris, you're one sporting guy. I tell you, you've been very much involved with your commitment as the events lead. Why don't you come in and tell us a little bit more about what sports and what we've got lined up? Chris Peters. Chris is also a designated MC for our events.
Well, apparently I did a bad job last year at the Christmas party.
No, you did.
We got a complaint.
There's always a complaint.
We got a bad complaint. Apparently I wasn't a very good contact.
That's all right.
But we have 29th of October, we have five-side football event coming up. I hope that we can get many teams put together. It's 2,000 dirhams per person, for a team. A team. We'd like people to come along, have a bit of fun and enjoy. We're not going to be holding an event during November. That's simply because we have Diwali, we have Bari week, and there's too many things going on. So we felt that putting another event in place would probably not work out. And then we have on the 8th of December, we have the Christmas party. The same as last year, it's at Montgomery Golf Club. It's a good event. I mean, last year we had an absolutely fantastic comedian who I'm going to book again.
70.
27th of December. I apologize. So that's the Friday, Saturday afternoon.
Yes.
Actually, can we have a raise of hands? Who prefers events on a Friday or Saturday night? Those in favour of Saturday, hands up please. Those in favour of Friday. Okay, the committee went for Friday as well. I voted Saturday. And then we're now going for the annual, it used to be March, but we're now doing May, and that's to coincide with Nautical Institute globally, and we will have on globally.
John Lloyd.
Captain John Lloyd will be coming out for that. So that's going to be Friday the 9th of May next year. That's going to be a black tie national dress event. We hope we can have, we're looking for 500 people. So we hope that we can get many of you there and many tables and have lots of people to come and have some fun. We'll have a good band. We always have a good band. We'll decide on the entertainment. To be arranged, we have a difference of opinion. Apparently, the token European has a different sense of humour to everybody else. And yes, they're the events that are coming up. We will also be scheduling monthly events throughout next year, so we will plan things for January, February, up until May, up until the annual ball, and those events will come in and we will advertise those in due course. So that I hand back to our chairman, or chairman-elect.
Thank you, Chris, and you've been a sport. Thank you. Thank you for your enthusiasm and your sense of humor, which most of us understand almost always. But saying that, so Richard Richardson was in town a couple of weeks ago, and he's again endorsed our cricket tournament, which we will have again. Perhaps we will have it in Jan this year again. Our sports minister is somewhere between here and the nearest roundabout, which they keep complaining about being choked. So he should have been here speaking about it. But Richard Richardson has been the patron. He's been the patron last year. We had 4 teams participate: the Engineers Institute, the ICS, the Nautical Institute, and the Company of Master Mariners. And guess who won? The Engineers did, which is all right. We let them. But they played well. They were very well disciplined. They had 2 practices, and on the day they were the first team on the ground. So I think they were serious about winning. But this year we've got certificates already signed. We've got a bat and a ball signed by Sir Richard Richardson again, and we're going to up the ante. We already got a confirmation on the ground being up for a year. and the person providing the ground is going to talk to Farooq Engineer, our wicketkeeper of past glory days of Indian cricket, and hopefully he will be also joining us on the day.
Looking forward to add that the engineers don't have 5 master managers in the team.
Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, we have 4, 5 master managers. That's why they want. But I don't think I've missed out anybody. I think if anybody who's a member of the Nautical Institute has any objection for the current committee to continue until next year again, please put your hands up. If not, rest you're part of the committee. You are the committee. But if there's nobody objecting, officially I have to ask this question, then the current elected committee or nominated committee was elected will continue until the next AGM. So this is online. But without much ado, and with a big thank you to ABS for buying us drinks tonight, because we always like somebody to pay for our. But Engineer Grant, thank you very much for Dr. Grant, sorry, I'm being careful. I want to introduce, I want to invite Dr. Ibrahim to come on the stage, tell us a little about what he has to say about alternate fuel for the maritime industry. And please have introduce yourself as your new hat with ABS.
Thank you.
And I must say, the dear friend, you have half an hour, but we'll all be expected to. If you want to continue.
I stick to the time.
Yes. But thank you very much for spending your time. But let's hear about what you have to say about you. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Thanks to Nautical Institute for giving me the chance actually to come today and just give you an overview of the latest on the sustainability, let's say, and decarbonization, which one of the very hot topics nowadays in the shipping industry. Sorry. Okay. So it was that day when Garage called me in a very short notice. Ibrahim, you are invited to give us the latest about the alternative fuel in the Nautical Institute. Very short notice. I said without saying, Garage, it's my pleasure. Anytime Nautical Institute is welcome. And luckily, I just did more or less the same presentation in Mumbai a few days ago. So I'm doing the same thing again, except that the one I did in Mumbai was quite lengthy one, which obviously I had to short it down as much as I can. So I will try to make it short as well. And please let me know if anything is not clear or I have to just go pass quickly on it, because some of them are technical, which I don't want to spoil your night going so much deeply in technical detail. Thank you once again for the Nautical Institute and for the committee. The subject of alternative fuel, I think we all agree. I mean, wherever we go in any kind of seminar or exhibitions or even customers meeting, one-to-one meeting, it's always one topic pops up on the top of the discussion: decarbonization. What shall we do? I mean, this has put the industry really in some kind of a panic. IMO, as we all know, has set a target, okay, from today until 2040. We need to cut down our emissions, CO2 emissions, by 40%, less than what we have today. Also, our GHG, we need to reach to 2050 by zero carbon, net zero. This actually, it's not easy, or it might sound easier, but it's easier said than done. There's a lot of work to be done. There's a lot of commitment. There's also a lot of cost. So the journey is really far reaching. and costly as well. But the destination, I would say, is here as long as we behave or we act within the time frame we have. Without further ado, I would like just to go through the agenda. I will talk about the CII rating and then what are the alternative fuel today or what we call it future fuel. I'll talk about the ammonia production and ammonia challenges being a future fuel, some challenges associated with these fuels as well. Then I will talk about the LNG as fuel and latest on DF engines or dual fuel engines, which everybody keep asking today. What shall we do? If we go for new building, shall we go for a conventional engine or dual fuel engine? These kind of questions keep repeating itself wherever we go. So I'll just give you a quick overview about it. And then, of course, we'll talk about one of the issues here is cylinder lubrication and then question and answer. Next slide, please. Okay. As we all know, I mean, CII is a very crucial topic today. And as we all know, all ships will be actually rated based on CII. So those ships who are rated poorly, I mean, from A to E, A is green and E is black. Those who are actually going towards the black zone, they have to come up with some kind of a corrective action. Otherwise, they will be phased out and go out of business. Obviously, we don't want anybody to go out of business. We need shipping company to continue. We need shipping business to grow. So we are here to help and advise what is the solution, the appropriate solution to maintain shipping business in growth. So some of the actions or corrective actions, obviously hull cleaning, air lubrication, and then something called voyage optimization, which comes under speed and routing optimization, weather routing, just-in-time arrival, craft, ballast optimization. All these we call it voyage optimization. It can help a lot in reducing CII. Another means also is installation of what we call it energy-saving devices such as other bulbs, propeller, chuck, generators, batteries, or use of the alternative brief about it. Okay, next. Yes. Okay. Today, I mean, when we talk about alternative fuel, before we consider any fuel to be an alternative for the fossil fuel that we have today, we need to consider the availability, the logistics, safe handling, and obviously the price. Today, we have 4 different alternative fuels on board. The first one is the methane or the LNG, and methanol, hydrogen, and ammonia. If we look at the methane, which is the LNG, CH4, it contains carbon. And the idea of using or selecting alternative fuel is to reduce the CO2 to comply with the IMO, as I mentioned. So with such kind of fuel, obviously it will help, but I mean, it still contains some kind of a carbon. The LNG is cryogenic gas, so it has to be maintained on board the ship under minus 166 degrees Celsius. That means it needs some kind of infrastructure, some kind of special tanks to well insulated to maintain this kind of negative temperature. If we look at the energy density, it's about 21.6, which is actually quite good. If we look at the volume it takes on board the ship in comparison to the fossil oil, it's about as twice as the conventional fuel, 1.78. So actually, it's taking more volume than the fossil oil. If we move to the second candidate fuel, is the methanol, again CH3OH. Again, you can see C, that means it contains carbon, so it's not actually the ideal fuel to take us to the net zero journey. But again, it can be considered as some kind of a transitional fuel to reach to the zero carbon. One issue with the methanol is the low flash point, so this is some kind of a risk associated with it. So the IGF code has to be considered whenever this fuel has to be used. If we look at the energy density, it's some kind 15.7, and the volume, the good thing about it that it's liquid. I mean, it's not a cryogenic, it's liquid, but the volume being a liquid, of course, it will be much bigger than the LNG. It will take more volume than the LNG. It's almost 3 times. Yeah? Then the other fuel is hydrogen. The third one is hydrogen, H2. We don't see any carbon there, so it looks like an ideal fuel. It's zero carbon for us. But the only thing with the hydrogen is it is cryogenic, and it has to be maintained under minus 250 degrees Celsius. And this is very, very low temperature. That means we will need very special tanks, very special infrastructure to maintain this gas in a liquid form on board the ship. That means bigger tanks. It means a lot of cost also, I mean, to keep this kind of minus temperature. So if we look at the ammonia, the fourth fuel, NH3, it's also very ideal because it doesn't contain any carbon there. It's also some kind of a cryogenic gas. It has to be maintained under minus 33 degrees Celsius, which is much better than the hydrogen. The energy density, which is very important also when we select any kind of fuel, is 15.7, which is very good. If we look at these 4 candidate fuel in general, how much each one contributing in CO2 reduction, and this is basically the main objective of having this kind of fuel as future fuel. If we look at the methane or the LNG, it contributes by almost minus 20% CO2 reduction. That means it's very good as a transitional fuel, but it's not going to take us actually to the journey, the net zero journey. So we need something more. We need to reach to zero carbon. If we look at the methanol, methanol contribute by almost minus 10% CO2 reduction. Also can be considered as a transitional fuel, but again, it would not be ideal to take us to net zero journey 2050. Hydrogen and ammonia, the advantage they are zero carbon, zero CO2, so they are ideal. But again, as I said, availability, cost, infrastructure, all these kind of things has to be also considered. How to obtain such kind of fuel, how to store it on the ship, that's a different kind of story altogether. So this is briefly what we have today, and please next slide. If I take ammonia, because a lot of new building today, they all actually go for ammonia as fuel, dual fuel engine. I mean, nothing has been delivered so far, but a lot of ships have been actually ordered to be dual fuel engine with ammonia. Ammonia has some challenges and risks associated with it. I mean, number one is toxicity. And where's Chris Peter? Chris Peter will be the first one to raise his hand objective. I don't like ammonia. It's very toxic. I will not have ammonia on board the ship. I fully agree with him. But again, I mean, it's one of the candidate fuel still that it might be able to take us to net zero journey. But again, a lot of things has to be considered when we talk about safety and how to handle in case of any kind of leakages on the ship, how to maintain or how to keep the ship safe and our seafarer also in a safe condition. The only advantage, as I said, with the ammonia, it's zero carbon. Infrastructure, lack of regularity can be considered as challenges as well because that's not matured yet. I mean, we don't have also any field experience with engines that has been running on ammonia. All this will come later. So all these kind of challenges has to be kept in consideration. Next, please. The production of ammonia has different grades and given different colors depending on the source from where we get the ammonia. If the ammonia is coming from the coal or the LNG, it is referred as a brown or gray. And if some kind of carbon capture can be used to get the remaining CO2 from the gray or brown ammonia, then it can be called blue ammonia. But the ammonia we always refer to on shipping as sustainable fuel, it's the green ammonia. Green ammonia is the one that everybody is actually looking for the future. Green ammonia will be considered green if renewable electricity or renewable energy is used to produce the ammonia. Basically, the source is the water by electrolysis of the water into hydrogen and oxygen, and getting the nitrogen from the air by combining or in senses the two gases, the O2 and the N2 together in some kind of a reactor, and obtain what we call it green ammonia. How much this will cost is a different story. Of course, it will be very costly because also using this kind of renewable energy to produce such kind of gas, it's a lot of cost. Ammonia, if we compare the prices of ammonia against the low sulfur fuel, obviously, I mean, this is not updated, but again, at the moment, it's more expensive than other kind of fuel because obviously, I mean, the infrastructure is not there, and anything when we talk about price, it depends on supply and demand. Like, I mean, the LNG 20 years ago, it was very expensive. Look at the LNG today, I mean, the prices are getting more stable, more reasonable, more affordable to be used as a marine fuel. How we use the ammonia inside internal combustion engine, there are two main cycles. I mean, the first one, we call it the Otto cycle, where the ammonia can be produced at a very low pressure, around 10 bar, and at the mid-stroke. The other cycle is the diesel cycle, where the ammonia can be introduced to the top of the cylinder at a very high pressure. These are the only two cycles where we can use fuel inside diesel engines. Each one has advantages and disadvantages. So I will not go in detail in this, but obviously these two cycles are in use today, especially for the energy. Sarah, tell me when I have to. Okay.
So about 10 moments.
Okay. Next one. This is very important. I mean, everybody asking, okay, when can we have these engines with the ammonia? When can we have this engine with the methanol? Okay. And there is actually a very healthy race today between the main engine makers in the market, NAN and WinGD. Both of them are actually going through a very intensive R&D to get these engines ready, most likely by end of 2024, beginning of 2025. We have also Hyundai, we have Wärtsilä, when we talk about the gensets and the Foster. More in Japan engine and IHI Nigata, same thing, also a lot of development going on these engines will be most likely ready by end of this year, beginning of next quarter 2025. Then I will give you also a very quick dual fuel engine, which using the LNG. LNG, it's also alternative fuel, but the LNG is very matured, very well established. A lot of dual fuel engines being in use now. We have very good overview. We have very good field experience. So we can say, yes, we are in control of dual fuel engine using LNG. The LNG in internal combustion engine using also the same kind of cycles or principles, the low pressure cycle, call it Otto cycle, and the diesel cycle, same as I explained on the ammonia, so there's no need to go through it. And each cycle, as I said, has its own advantages and disadvantages, because some people ask, oh, which one shall we go, the low pressure or the high pressure? Which maker is doing this, which maker? They are all, it all depends on you. You have to look at your operational profile, where the ship is going to sail, and then we sit together and we can advise you what is the best for you to select. But I will not say any preference, because if we look at this table here, I mean the low pressure cycle, which is the Otto cycle, it's tier 3 compliance. Unlike the high pressure is only tier 2. So if you go for a high pressure engine, then you need actually to mitigate how to comply with tier 3, depending on your ship where it's actually sailing. Okay, so some of the engine manufacturers like WinGD, which actually only using low pressure, they have faced this kind of challenges. I mean, something called methane slip. You will hear this word everywhere, methane slip. What is the methane slip? Methane slip is the unburned fuel or LNG leaving the engine to the atmosphere. The methane considered to be one of the GHG gases, which is very dangerous, very harmful to the atmosphere, and therefore we need to minimize the leakages or the slip, the methane slip to atmosphere. So this is one of the disadvantages of engine using the low pressure cycle. What the maker has done to improve the methane slip and reduce it to minimum, they come up with something called ICER, I-C-E-R. It's actually a short for Intelligent Control by Exhaust Recycling. What they do, it's a part of the exhaust, leaving the turbocharger, pushing it back through some cooling system to the intake, the air intake of the turbocharger, and then pushing this into the combustion chamber. What does this do? It reduces the combustion, it reduces the temperature inside the combustion chamber. Means it makes the combustion take longer. So whatever left over from that methane will have the time to burn out. So it leaves with minimum to the atmosphere. So with this, I think they have been able actually to mitigate and reduce the methane slip to a big extent. Also, when we talk about dual fuel engine, for an engine using different kind of fuel, different kind of mode, moving from diesel to heavy to LNG or even ammonia later on, I mean, the engine also can suffer some kind of unbalance. So they have come up with something called VCR, variable compression ratio, which in my opinion, I see this is a very smart idea. By having this, they have actually been able to mitigate the efficiency and the stability of the engine moving from one fuel to another. This is not yet in use, but it has been already produced, and a lot of new buildings have requested to have their engine with the VCR. What's the timetable and the delivery for methanol engine, ammonia engine? Very common question we keep receiving from our clients. As I said, by end of this year, beginning of next year, we will have some of the engine, because not all of them are ready. I mean, developing this kind of dual fuel engines, it takes time, but only certain bores, depending on what the market is demanding, actually, like 62 bore for the MR vessels, for the Aframax, Suezmax, at VLCC, not yet. So we start, or the engine makers, they started to develop some of their core engine depending on the demand market demand. Same for the ammonia. Next one. I think this one is a very long subject, but you all hear about the panic because of the fuel EU, the fuel ETS. This is becoming a very hot topic. What it is, it's now, the authority like to control how much emission is coming out from your ship and how to control the fuel consumption. And based on this, they will actually put some kind of a tax or penalties or credit. If you are good enough, you will get some kind of credit. So this is one of the very important issue, and it takes long time for me to explain how you calculate it, but it's good to hear about it. It's one of the topics that everybody is talking about.
It's also the next event will continue to talk.
Exactly. I will finish. So, EU fuel is concerned.
It's a good presentation.
Sorry.
No, there will be question and answer.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So this is the fuel EU. When we say fuel EU, it concerns only Europe. So vessels who are actually sailing between Europe ports. So the EU has put their own kind of rules, regulatories, and conditions. And there is also another rule called IMO or ETS. That's for the global ships. Some differences are there. Like in IMO, you need actually to involve the flag authority. In EU, not, but maybe you are actually obliged to involve some kind of legal entity to make this kind of verification and monitoring and calculation. You see, when we talk about optimization of engine and compliance with EEXI for the existing ships, something came called EPL, engine power limitation. Reducing the engine power. Reducing engine power can be also some kind of risk when we talk about emission, because engines are not designed to run on low speed. Engines are designed to run on full speed. So when you reduce the power in order to reduce the emission, there are some kind of risk associated with the cylinder lubrication. And cylinder lubrication is very vital item when we talk about efficiency and wear and tear, time between overall. So this we have to also bear in mind. So to mitigate this, a lot of makers in the market, they have modified the cylinder lubrication system by increasing the pressure, coming up with more holes, modifying the growth of the lubrication in the preference of the cylinder inside. They try to come. This reminds us with the time when we had the slow steaming. Slow steaming came up with a lot of issues. This is some kind of a configuration where you can see 8 quills, 5 oil jets, altogether 40 lubricating points, which never happened before. Also the injection before on the top of the piston, at the piston rings, below the piston. That was not also there before, but it's some kind of an improvement to come up with more efficient engine and lubrication. Since we are here today, and then we talked about alternative fuel, decarbonization, digitalization, there are new regulatories. There are a lot of burdens coming up for our seafarer. And we have also talked about risk associated with some fuels, such as the ammonia, toxicity. So how can we actually mitigate this and we ensure that our seafarer are safe and also the ship is efficient? The only way to mitigate this, we often overlook the training of our seafarer or some ship management. They consider this some kind of extra cost. Believe me, it's not. Having an efficient crew, having your people safe on board the ship and comfortable, it's part of the energy efficiency. So the only way I would advise with all these challenges that we talked about today is training. Training is a very vital and very important when it comes to energy efficiency and safe operation of the ship. this, I think I come to the end of my presentation. I hope
I was spot on. It was actually spot on. You started
I'm
5
sorry.
minutes late and you finished 25 minutes. Fantastic. But after listening to you, I'm so reassured that I chose the right career of being a navigator and not an engineer.
But now I have one question. I have,
But question. I listened to most of it, but you were clear and very, I gave a compliment. Question?
I have one just. Sure. It's good that we have all this technology is coming very good and seafarer training very good. But nowadays, a lot of companies, I'm talking from the company point of view now, what people think in the board. We are talking about sustainability these days. Yes. Right? We talk about sustainability, and of course, this thing becomes whether it is sustainable over a long period of time, because there are talks going around where people say they will do carbon capture as well, yeah, especially on the land-based green projects, right?
Yeah.
So now, what is the difference there? Can we have carbon capture projects or something, a system on a ship, so that we can continue using the traditional fuels, but at the emission stage, we capture carbon? Now, I know the logistics will be involved. You have to liquefy the carbon and all that, discharge it ashore. Discharging would be a problem. But is the class looking at this option as well? Because a lot of land-based industries, they are trying to look at that, and they can do that. They say they will capture the carbon from the work fuel, and then they will dispose it off. How they will dispose, I don't know as of now, but that is a lot of research going on this actually, if you don't know it.
Excellent question, Vikram. Thank you very much. Yes, I mean, having said that, I mean, the fossil oil will continue. And as you said, carbon capture is also one of the technologies that recently has come up. And a lot of companies, they have come up with solutions for this, so that the fossil oil can continue to be used, provided that we can capture the carbon as you mentioned. We don't want shipping to go in any kind of reduction. We want growth for the shipping. So we need also to look for a solution to the existing fleet, the fleet that they have fossil oil, and maybe another 20 or 30 years to go. I mean, this is all in consideration. And there are a lot of work from ABS side. I'm glad to tell you that we worked in a very major project with one of the major clients here in the Middle East. Maybe I will not mention the name, but they have actually requested us to come up with some kind of a visibility study for their existing fleets, which are more than 100 ships plus. Okay, how can we capture? Okay, we studying, we verifying, we got all the reports from the ship, we calculating how much emission they have from auxiliary engines, from even boiler, from the main engine, and then how to capture this, how to store it on board the ship, and how to dispose it. We almost finalizing this. Once everything is in place, we also work very closely with some solution providers for carbon captures. And in these 3-4 main companies in the world now, they have put a lot of effort in coming up with carbon capture solution. So, I mean, if we can succeed together with other partners to have the carbon capture solution implemented on board the ship, to store the carbon on board the ship safely, dispose it safely. Also, we have some kind of universities associated with us in this kind of visibility study. We also involve the flag authority, the flag state, port authority, because I mean, there are a lot of regulation. Even when you come to dispose the CO2, there's many regulations that we have to follow. So that's going very, very well and progressing very, very fast.
So is there a regulatory framework already developed for the system to be installed on a ship?
Yes,
That is,
there are carbon capture system already.
so you have, like, let's say the class has already come up with a regulatory.
Yes,
framework?
yes,
Is it?
yes, yes, yes.
We are working with Value Maritime and Nautical. They are.
Maybe on a separate note, then I will get some yarn from you.
Yeah, but bottom line is that net zero is not possible without carbon capture.
That's
And
why I
the
said,
question of land based, there is already a project, Northern Lights.
I know about that one.
You know, putting and converting everything 45.
I know what you're referring to, but then I don't want to say that. It's a top secret.
That's one of the advantages you get by classing our vessels with India.
Exactly. So now I'll
So now I answer your question or?
Yes, I'm getting, but then I will discuss more on this
Sure.
separately because it's a very
Sure.
short spectrum, right?
Team, question. Team.
Evening,
Evening, sir.
Regulatory framework.
basic question, that will be one of them. I understand the carbon and the carbon credits and the trade of carbon credits, which is going on immensely in America. And the platforms and the amounts that are carbons are being traded on. But that's a totally different subject altogether. It's a multi-trillion dollar industry. I'm sure you are aware of it. And the biggest country that it's being bought from, fortunately, unfortunately, is from India. Are you aware? On carbon credits?
Of course, carbon credit is all over. I mean, yeah.
So basically, what the industry is doing is, what they're saying is, the emissions are emissions, but we will subsidize the emissions by buying the credits from other countries.
Related to other countries.
Yes.
Correct.
You can offset that.
So they don't have to pay the levy or the tax as to what the amount.
Carbon credit is already in place and everything will be enforced before the credit is there, and this went quickly through the EU fuel and the
Correct.
fuel ETS. The whole
Correct.
idea is monitoring and verification, submit these kind of reports to the authority will go through it, and if you are within the targets that the authority has put, you will get this credit back to you in many kind of incentives, okay? And as I said, it's also the other way around. If you are not within the limits that the authority, either in Europe or America or globally, you will be penalized. You will have to pay. You will have to pay for the amount of emission that your ship is emitting. So it's two ways, you know?
I totally understand that.
Yeah.
And that's why the third world countries are buying, are selling, and the first world countries are buying.
Yes.
But the fact of the matter is that fossil fuel will be staying. Last year I was in a seminar with Exxon Mobil and Chevron, and they said carbon fuels are not going anywhere. Because there are too many anomalies that are there with ammonia being hazardous, with hydrogen that is extremely volatile, and this is going to be the most. And if other than controlling it, the volume, the size, to make them happen, either the volumes increase or the infrastructure increases, and there are so many, because clearly hydrogen is very unstable. You do agree?
Absolutely, absolutely. But
And
again,
ammonia
yeah.
is highly hazardous. If there are leakages, then no matter how long, these are my thought processes. I don't represent any body or governmental entity. These are just my thought processes. Ammonia is extremely hazardous. If there was a leakage on any of the vessels and the crew on board, what are you going to do? No matter how much safety precautions that you take, these are the people are vital to die.
That was Chris's next question.
I'm terribly sorry, Chris. I saw your thunder, did I?
Well, I've spoken at many conferences and fully 2-3 years ago, I just asked, and I'll ask the same question again. Please raise your hand if you would willingly get on an aeroplane with its wings filled with ammonia. So, unfortunately, I've never sailed myself, but I know a lot of the industry. I started in my previous company, the Safety at Sea Conference, and one drop of ammonia, you name a single ship without an engine spill, with an oil spill in the engine room. One drop of ammonia will kill everyone in there. It's just wrong. My opinion, it's a personal opinion.
No, your opinion is
I agree with you.
highly respected.
It's a personal opinion.
But one thing I might just comment quickly. We have to understand, I mean, that we are driven by regulatories, legislation. No, I agree. Also, no authorities or classification societies will allow any of these fuels with this high tests like ammonia toxicity to be used on board the ship without having what we call fail safe. Let me give you a simple example. I'm not a bunker supplier. I mean, you can go for any fuel you want.
I mean,
Yeah.
we're just, you know, going over these things. But I totally agree. In my opinion, I'll cut it short because I'm sure people are totally bored with this conversation. But my thought process is, I think fossil fuel is going to stay because it's economical.
Yeah.
I think what the regulatory bodies should be doing is looking at the control of the emissions rather than finding a substitute. It's trying to create the wheel again. We don't need to do that. So what we need to do that, like I've worked with oil and gas industry for many years now. Shit, too many, maybe 3 decades. Captain, you know about this as well. I think we need to rely on the emissions because the concern is the emission. So we need to find ways of purification the emissions rather than the source.
Exactly. Now, this is what we talked about carbon capture. This is the carbon capture. Okay. Use the fossil oil and capture the carbon. But you see, at the end of the day, also, we create engineering. We talk about profit and loss. You need to look how much this is going to cost you. You see, it's very easy for me to say carbon capture.
Look at Tesla.
But you know how much does it cost?
I mean, they started with the auto industry. Give me 2 minutes. So one of my classmates, he met up with Elon Musk and happened to be in Dubai. And he showed him the best of the way to renew the Tesla cars with the batteries, and which the Tesla organization was looking very much for. It was an automated thing. And, he came out with the solution, and we started off with Armani last year. And we were talking about it, and I said, how is that going to happen? And he said, they're stupid because the batteries cost 3 times more of pollution and disposing of batteries. But they were looking and bothered about more on carbon emissions. I mean, you're looking at only the carbon emission. You're not trying to find how do you deal with the emission. You're going for the source, but the source is not the problem, the emission is. So I think the way to go forward is to find out solutions for the emissions, not from the source with the emissions.
Fully
That
agree.
is my.
No, fully agree. I'm with you. I'm with you.
We need an engineer to have this.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I'll hand over to our, thank you ABS for sponsoring the evening. I don't know what we would do with the AGM without your support.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Our newly elected secretary. Vikas. Thank you, sir, and thank you, ADS. Thank you for that. I'd like to call Captain Torres here to just shed some light on the upcoming sporting events, and some of the rules, etc. We have the Halloween football event that is coming up. So, we are planning to have the Halloween themed football team on 29th of this month at Seafarers Club. So we request the teams to start registering. Last time we had almost 6 teams. We battled out almost till midnight, 11 o'clock, and then we were then stuck. So we hope guys can actually register the team. It's only 5 or 5, so I think it's very quick. And we'll be playing as a normal team. And normal football rules apply without offside. That's it. So let's get the teams on. Thank you. Thank you. So right, thank you everyone. Thank you so much for the lovely evening, and please go ahead and enjoy the refreshments. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all.